Hi, I'm Lynn. Today I wanted to talk to you about Razertip power units and Razertip pens. I've had quite a few people ask me if this is a brand I would recommend. Let's get to it. I've only personally used a couple other different styles of wood burners. And before we get to the Razertip, I'll go ahead and just hit on those. I'm sure most of you watching this video have used this, I think it's called a walnut. It is walnut hollow wood burner. Most of them don't have an adjustable temperature gauge on it, which I find very dissatisfying, but this does work great as far as filling in large areas with just a solid black background. The tips are definitely a little bit different than what we're about to get into as far as the Razertips. They're interchangeable as well. You can screw them on there. That's pretty much a universal tip. I won't get too far into this wood burner, but anyways, there are different options for this. So if you're just getting started and you don't really know if pyrography / wood burning is something for you, I would recommend going and picking up a cheap wood burner. You can go get this for about $16 at your hobby store and figure out if this is for you. So anyways, back to the Razertip. It's what we're mainly here to talk about. I have been using this probably for about 6 years, and this exact one. I have two power units. I've never broken a power unit. They're very durable. I hate to say this, but I have dropped mine a couple times, and it's still holding up fairly decent. Now, Razertip has been around since 1984, and they've been selling pyrography burners and different types of carving supplies. Now, this power unit that I like to use is the SK model, and this only allows you to use one pin at a time, and they have another model that allows you to flip a switch, and that will switch back and forth between two pins that you can have plugged in at one time, which I think is pretty cool. I'm not to the level where I need that yet. I don't mind turning off my power unit and changing out my pins or my tips. This heats up extremely fast, and it cools down very, very fast. So the temperature that this particular unit does range is 340 degrees Fahrenheit to 1400 degrees Fahrenheit. For those of you that are with the metric, it is 170 degrees Celsius, and I think it's right around 745 degrees Celsius. And what I also find very pleasing and very cool with Razertip and their power units is they have a 3-year warranty along with a 1-year warranty on their pins. So if you're looking for an upgrade and you know that that pyrography is something that you enjoy to do, and you're looking to take it to that next step and get a little bit more out of your burnings, I would definitely recommend getting the Razertip SK. As far as pins go, we're going to jump to pins instead of talking about power units. Razertip has over 900 different types of tip shapes. There are so many different types of tips. The three main types they're going to be a ball tip, that's going to be for writing. You'll have your spear tips or skew tips, like these for fine lines. And their tips are so thin, you can actually get you can get 120 lines parallel side by side within an inch. That's how thin some of their tips are, which I think is very cool, especially if you're doing hair and feathers and things like that. As far as fixed tip versus exchangeable tips go, I personally like the fixed tips. And you can see right here how they are just fixed to the pin. There's no way to interchange them like these two pins right over here. This one has a very, very old tip on it, but if I wanted to change this out, I would be able to take a flathead screwdriver and unscrew that and slide pull this out and then slide my new tip in and tighten it back down, and that's how that would work. So if you want some specialty tips that you know you're not going to use a whole lot, but you want to use them in a certain project, you might want to get an exchangeable tip pin to allow you to exchange between various types of tips. So I guess the last thing I'm going to hit on would be about the adapter cords. I actually just found this out very recently. The Razertip makes power cords that you can plug into your pin and then plug into a different brand power unit. That way you can use they're awesome pens. So if you already have your own power unit from a different company and you want to stick with that, but you're looking into maybe getting some different types of pens or tips, that could be an option for you. I think the biggest reason, or the biggest question I've had about the Razertip in particular, is about the heat of the pen, because these simple burners right here, this green one, this gets extremely hot and it creates blisters and gives me brown burn marks on my fingers when I'm using it for extended periods of time. Now, these Razertip pens, they do get hot. Oh, I wouldn't say hot, but they can get heated. There are different types of pens, like I was saying earlier, not just as far as tips go, but as far as like heavy dutiness and things like that. You can get a heavy duty pen, and which also is going to help as far as like dropping, like shock proof. It's going to be a lot more resistant to abuse and damage. So as far as the heat goes, it is nowhere near the heat or warmth that is produced by this burner right here. It is very tolerable to use. I've never used this pen and had a painful experience or to where it was just too much for me to be able to do. And I've definitely turned this pen off and walked away from a project before just because of how intense the heat was getting. So I hope that answers everybody's questions. If you have any more questions about Razertip or pyrography in general, feel free to message me. I am on Facebook and Instagram, and you can find me at kindledarts.com or kindledarts@gmail.com. Thank you very much, and I'll see everyone next time.